Stop. Look at your hand. Really look at it. You see skin, lines, texture. You feel the warmth. You think it is solid, don't you? You think it is there. I am going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable, but it is the only honest thing I can tell you. You are completely wrong. That sensation of solidity is a biological lie. It is a neurological fabrication designed to stop you from going insane. If you could see reality as it actually is, you wouldn't see a hand. You would see a vibrating, chaotic mist of probabilities, a swarm of ghosts that only decide to exist when they crash into something. We are going to talk about the experiment that broke physics, the experiment that proves the universe is not made of things, but of possibilities. It is called the Double Slit Experiment, but that is a boring name. I call it the moment we caught nature cheating. And the most terrifying part, it suggests that the simple act of looking at the world actually changes it. So, put aside your intuition. Your intuition is for picking fruit and running from lions. It is useless here. Here, in the quantum realm, logic is the first casualty. Let's talk about bullets. We all think we know what a bullet is. It is a lump of lead. It travels from point A to point B. It has a trajectory. If I ask you where the bullet is halfway to the target, you can point and say, it is right there. This is the classical view of the world. It feels safe. It feels like a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But this story is a myth. The concept of a particle, a tiny, hard sphere bouncing around the universe, is not a physical reality. It is a mental crutch. We invented it because our brains can't handle the truth. The truth is that motion itself is an illusion. When we get down to the bottom, to the very fabric of reality, things don't move in the way you think they do. They simply cease to exist in one place and manifest in another. The space in between, that is where the ghosts live. And today, we are going to hunt those ghosts. I want you to perform a thought experiment with me. Close your eyes. Seriously, do it. I want you to imagine you are in a dirty, gritty shooting range. Smell the gunpowder. Feel the cold concrete floor. In front of you is a machine gun, a heavy mechanical beast. And facing the gun, there is a steel plate with 2 vertical slits cut into it. Behind that plate is a backstop, a wall of sand. Now, lock the trigger. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. The machine gun unleashes a storm of bullets. They fly out, chaotic, hot, screaming through the air. Some hit the steel plate and bounce off, ping, ping, ping. But some make it through the slits. They pass through the left hole or the right hole and bury themselves in the sand wall behind. Now open your eyes, walk to the sand wall. What do you see? You see 2 piles of lead. 1 pile behind the left slit, 1 pile behind the right slit. This is obvious. This is sane. This is how the world works. Bullets are distinct objects. They go through one door or the other. They don't split in half. They don't argue with each other. They just hit. Keep this image in your head, 2 piles of bullets. This is the world of things. This is the world you think you live in. But hold on to that certainty, because I am about to shatter it. Now, we have to change the rules. We have to stop asking, what is the bullet? And start asking, what do we measure? This is the shift to operationalism. In physics, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. So, let's replace our machine gun with something else. Let's replace the bullets with something smaller, much smaller, electron. The fundamental building blocks of electricity, of matter, of you. We have an electron gun. It fires electrons one by one. Click, click, click. We replace the sand wall with a sensitive detector screen that glows when an electron hits it. A tiny flash of light, a spark. We are not interested in the philosophy of the electron yet. We are only interested in the clicks, the flashes. We are measuring the arrival of energy. We strip away the story of the flight and focus only on the data points. Where does the flash appear? This is the only question that matters. Here is the trap you are falling into. You are imagining the electron as a tiny, invisible marble. You are imagining it leaving the gun, flying through the dark vacuum, going through a slit and hitting the screen. You are committing the container fallacy. You think space is a container, and the electron is a thing inside it. But the electron is not a thing. The electron is a ripple in a field that permeates the entire universe. It is not an actor on a stage. It is a disturbance of the stage itself. If you think of it as a marble, you will never understand what happens next. You must stop thinking of matter as stuff and start thinking of it as events. An electron is not an object. It is an event waiting to happen. And until it happens, until it hits that screen, it is everywhere and nowhere at once. It is a cloud of potential, a smear of reality. To understand this, we need a trade-off. We need to trade our bullet logic for wave logic. Imagine a water tank. Dark, still water. You tap the surface in two places simultaneously. Tap, tap. Ripples spread out, circles expanding. What happens when the ripples from the left tap meet the ripples from the right tap? They dance. Where a crest meets a crest, the water jumps twice as high constructive interference. But where a crest meets a trough, they cancel each other out. The water goes flat, dead calm. Destructive interference. If you put a screen at the end of the tank, you wouldn't see two piles of water. You would see a pattern, big wave, flat water, big wave, flat water, a series of stripes. This is the fingerprint of a wave. It is the signature of multiplicity. A wave doesn't pick a door. It goes through both. It explores all paths. It interferes with itself. This is how sound works, how light works, how the ocean works. It is the logic of continuity, not the logic of discrete lumps. Now, let's go back to the vacuum chamber. The lights are out. It is pitch black. We turn on the electron gun, but this time we turn it down, way down. We fire one single electron at a time. Click, silence. Click, silence. There is no water, there is no stream, just solitary, lonely particles. The first electron hits the screen, pop, a single dot of light. It looks just like a bullet. The second one hits, pop, another random dot. The third, the fourth. It looks chaotic. It looks like rain falling on a sidewalk. You think, aha, they are bullets. Look at the dots. But wait, be patient. Let the experiment run. Let time accumulate. Speed it up. 100 electrons. 1,000, 10,000. Watch the screen. The dots are not piling up behind the two slits. They are not forming two heaps. They are arranging themselves. They are clustering in bands, stripe, gap, stripe, gap, stripe. A perfect interference pattern. The same pattern as the water waves. Stop and scream internally for a moment. This should be impossible. This is where your brain should start hurting. We fired them one by one. Electron A died on the screen before electron B was even born. How could they interfere? Who is interfering with whom? There is only one conclusion, and it is absolutely insane. The single electron left the gun, became a ghost, went through both these slits at the same time, interfered with Thindi itself, and then decided where to land based on that interference. It sniffed out the entire geometry of the room. It knew the other slit was open. If you close one slit, the pattern disappears, and you get a bullet pile. Open it, and the interference returns. The electron is not a localized point. It is a probability wave that flows through the universe like a fluid, exploring every possible path until the moment it hits the screen. It feels the universe. It knows the architecture. The direction of its travel is not a straight line. It is a sum of all possible histories. But you are a stubborn primate. You don't believe in ghosts. You say, no, Feynman, that is magic. I want to see it. You want to catch the electron in the act. You want to know which slit it really went through. So we play a trick. We install a detector, a peeping Tom. We put a tiny light source right next to the slits. If the electron goes through the left slit, the light will scatter, and we will see a flash. We are forcing the universe to give us the which path information. We turn on the gun. We turn on the detector. We fire. The electron approaches. We see a flash at the left slit. Aha, caught you. You went left. We are geniuses. We have pinned it down. But now, look at the back screen. Look at the pattern. The stripes are gone. The interference has vanished. We are back to two piles of bullets. The beautiful wave pattern has collapsed. Why? Because you looked. By asking, where is it? You forced it to be somewhere. You destroyed the wave. You collapsed the probability cloud into a single, hard reality. This is the static block universe staring you in the face. The wave function, that ghost cloud, is not just a lack of knowledge. It is the reality. When you are not looking, the electron exists in a superposition of left and right. It is a complex geometric structure in a higher dimensional space. But when you introduce a measurement, when you interact with it, you are slicing that high-dimensional object. You are taking a 3D slice of a 4D loaf of bread. The collapse is not the electron changing. It is you forcing a specific perspective. You are not a passive observer. You are a disorder detector. You are a reality chopper. The moment you demand to know where, nature hides the how. You cannot have the wave and the particle at the same time. You cannot have the pattern and the path. You have to choose. Does this mean the electron knows you are watching? Does it have consciousness? No, that is too simple. It is about information. It is about entanglement. When you measure the electron, you become part of the system. You and the electron are now a single quantum state. The information about which path it took becomes recorded in the universe, in your detector, in your brain. Once that information exists, the interference is forbidden. The universe does not allow contradiction. You cannot have a history where it went left and a history where it went both ways. The act of recording the past determines the present. This challenges your idea of free will, doesn't it? It challenges the idea that there is a world out there independent of you. There isn't. There is only the interaction. The process is the reality. We are stuck with a language problem. We use words like particle and wave, but these are words invented by people who hunted mammoths. They are words for rocks and water. The electron is not a rock, and it is not water. It is something else entirely, a vector in a complex Hilbert space. But our brains cannot visualize Hilbert space. So we use clumsy metaphors. We say it knows. We say it collapses. We are trying to translate the poetry of the cosmos into the grunts of cavemen. This is why it feels confusing. The confusion is not in the physics. The confusion is in your translation scheme. You are trying to run high-end software on hardware that hasn't been upgraded in 200,000 years. The reality is not paradox. The reality is just richer than your sensory simulation can render. So, what are you left with? You are left with a universe that is far more mysterious and intimate than you ever dared to imagine. You are not an outsider looking in. You are a participant. The world is fluid, dreamlike, and probabilistic until you reach out and touch it. Then, and only then, does it become solid. The double slit experiment is not just a trick of light. It is a warning. It tells us that reality is not a stage set waiting for us to walk on. It is a painting that is being painted in real time by the brushstrokes of our own observations. Embrace the confusion. That feeling of "this makes no sense" is the feeling of your mind touching the boundaries of the known world. And that, my friends, is the only place worth being.